Hello and welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Now, I am super excited because I'm Dr. Andrea Schnowske from Freedom Chiropractic and Holistic Health in the Metro Center in Peoria, Illinois. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit more about panic attacks. So, I have a lot of patients that come in and they are very confused. They're like, I have no idea why I'm having panic attacks. I don't know what to do about them. I feel like they're getting worse. I have no answers and I feel a little bit hopeless. So, I want to talk a little bit more about what panic attacks are, as well as things that you can do to help to deal with those or potentially get rid of them altogether. And we're going to talk about some of the reasons why we may be having panic attacks. So let's start with talking about what a panic attack is. So a panic attack is a stress response that your body basically triggers that fight or flight response, and your body will start racing your heart. You'll start having chest pain sometimes. You may have some shortness of breath going on and sometimes even pain. They're usually not going to occur when you're exerting yourself. So if you are, say exercising and you're having that pain, typically that's going to be more likely a heart attack. If you are just all of a sudden sitting there or emotionally worked up and notice that starting to come on, that's more likely going to be a panic attack. Now, typically panic attacks gradually lessen over time. So usually they last about 20 minutes or less. Typically they're going to ramp up really quickly, and then you're going to start to see where they kind of wane off. Heart attacks do not wane off. They typically are going to get worse over time. And like I said, heart attacks usually are going to be when you're exerting yourself, so exercise or something of that nature. Now, when we have that fight or flight response that's triggered by our stress, so again, that stress response will trigger your body to activate this fight or flight response. That is triggered by your adrenal gland. So I always call your adrenal gland the stress response gland, or your king or your queen if you're a male or a female. And that's going to be lessening basically when we notice that that adrenal gland is being overstimulated and that stress response and that fight or flight goes into overdrive. We need to help to, number one, support the adrenal gland, but also try to lessen that over response so we're not getting into that major fight or flight response. There are a lot of things we can do ourselves with diet, stress reduction, some lifestyle changes, even supplements that can help support your adrenal gland so it's not going from 0 to 60 very quickly. One of the things that is a huge factor is if you are under chronic stress or you have typically stressors going on all the time, that's going to take your normal threshold for fight or flight response. So say it takes 10 stressful events for you to kick into gear. When we have chronic stress, your body will lower that threshold. So it might only take 1 or 2 instances of stress for that to kick off. And the slightest thing that gets you emotionally charged can cause that to kick into a panic attack. One huge thing that I see, and this is going to be in adolescents, young adults, adults that are older, even geriatric, is that diet is a huge deal. Your body uses the protein in your diet to make your neurotransmitters to help your brain function, and also to use those proteins to make some of those enzymes and hormones that help balance the adrenal gland. So if you have a poor diet, if you're not eating regular meals, if you're not getting enough protein, if you're not really digesting those things well, that is a huge issue. So one of the things I usually recommend is, number one, we have to clean up your diet. We have to make sure you're eating frequently, about every 3 to 4 hours. You need to make sure you're having 1 handful of protein, 1 handful of fruits and vegetables every 3 to 4 hours. Usually for protein, that can be anything. You want, like a serving size would be 2 eggs, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, handful of mixed nuts, or about 4 ounces of beans, brown rice, fish, chicken, pork, protein bars, protein powder, whatever you have. If you're looking for the gram amount, typically you're going to want to get about half your body weight in grams up to 3/4 of your body weight. So if you are 100 pounds, that's 50 grams of protein every day that you need to be making sure you're getting in. If you're not getting that much in, start with doing that every 3 hours, 1 handful of protein, 1 handful of fruits and vegetables, and then you can kind of build up from there. If you're not hungry, that may also be a sign that you're not getting enough protein, because your body uses protein to make some of the enzymes and the hormones that tell you you're hungry. So if you're not hungry, you may have to force yourself to eat for a few weeks until your body catches on that you're not in starvation mode and that food is coming regularly. Another thing that's really important is that digestive issues, so if you're having issues with heartburn, reflux, nausea, or stomach pain, or even bloating after eating, that can also be a huge issue, because that tells me that your stomach and your digestive system isn't breaking down the food that you're taking in and the food that you're eating properly, which means that we can actually eat all the protein we want, but if your body can't digest it, we're going to run into a protein deficiency. not because you're not getting it, but because the body isn't digesting it properly. So that's really important to make sure that number one, you're getting the food and digesting it properly. Another thing is making sure that you are using stress reduction techniques. So for some people, that's as simple as doing breathing exercises, yoga breathing. For some people, that may be doing some exercise and taking a walk. For some people, that may be journaling. If you notice that you have quite a bit going on, it may be helpful to talk to a therapist or a counselor a little bit more about what's going on in your head. A lot of times they can kind of help you sort through those thoughts or try to kind of take some of the ones that aren't really the healthiest for you out, or at least helping you think a little bit clearer on those. And they can also give you some tips on stress reduction techniques or things that you can do to manage that stress and not get that fight or flight response to kick in. A lot of times they have some great tips, some great exercises that you can do regularly that, again, can take that threshold and bring it back up so we don't have the slightest thing set us off into a panic attack. If you or a child is suffering from panic attacks and you want a little bit more information about how we can help, give our office a call, 309-689-6200, or you can also request an appointment on our website, freedompeoria.org. But we are more than happy to sit down with you. We can talk about some of the dietary changes. We can talk about some of the digestive issues that you're experiencing, and maybe even go through some stress reduction techniques that might be more helpful for you or your child to make sure you're getting on top of things rather than waiting for the fallout and dealing with symptoms after the fact. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure you check us out next Wellness Wednesday. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also hit that bell so it alerts you when we have new videos. Thanks for tuning in to Freedom Chiropractic and Holistic Health. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell so we'll let you know about some new videos coming out. Every Wellness Wednesday, we go live at 5.